Hello and good afternoon. This is Arlene from Arlene's Lace Adventure again. Today we're looking at darned netted laces. The most popular lace of this form was used as a tablecloth in the 30s and 40s and was quite frequently seen on tables that were for special occasions, and they were definitely given out as special wedding presents so that every lady had a special cloth for their table. When they got married, they could then entertain their in-laws on this beautiful gift and feel like they were a special person. I have several darned net tablecloths in my collection. This is just one of them. And as you can see, it does have a few breaks in it and will need to be repaired at some point in time. Following this, you will get to see the tools that are used to make this lace and other examples of this kind of lace. I quite love these, especially when I can put a dark cloth underneath them to bring out the patterns. In this video, I'm going to show you the tools that are used to make netting. But first I have to make a shuttle because this kit, which is very, very old, did not come with one, so I'm going to make it out of this piece of hickory that I just cut off my tree. I'll be back with it when it's finished. I have now roughed out the shuttle, and now it comes to the fine point of getting it nice round tines on either end and a slightly bigger groove on both ends. Here we are again, folks, now that the kit is complete. I have my shuttle with a little bit of thread so that you can see how it was wrapped on. You can see the needles. You can see the two gauges that are used for creating the size of the net. You see the little clamp, which is the little silver thing with the little, this guy right here is a clamp where you would have held the lace to, say, a tablecloth or a piece of furniture or whatever that you were going to start tying your lace from. And then these are different kinds of needles used for different kinds of stitching that was done within the net itself. This blue one here is most likely what they used to do the weaving part of the darned net lace. An example of net are these pieces here. This was somebody's project. I'm not sure how many pieces I have, but there's almost 24 of these different size stars. Some are 8, some are 6 points. Some are like these ones here, which are very small. And then you have the great big piece in the center. Let's look closely at what the net looks like. In this picture here, you see the knots. This is basically the fisherman's knot. And darn net was basically an extension of what fishermen would do when they were making their nets, only this was done on a much smaller scale. Sometimes they would go out when they were idly doing nothing out in the sea waiting for fish to be caught. They would make fancy pieces of net, either fix their nets that were fishing or maybe even do fancy things like this. Who knows? Anyway, most of these pieces were probably made by ladies like the wives of fishermen, or maybe ladies who had a little extra time in the evenings back in the day when we didn't have television and movies and more television and Facebook and other things to keep us entertained with. So, an example of net lace in my collection with extremely fine netting is this pair of gloves. While this may look at first like stocking net, when I took a look at it under the microscope, each one of those is an individual knot. So these are actually a handmade net gloves with very, very fine thread and very, very small knots. It has hand darning design down the center of the wrist, and then when you go up the arm, you see this beautiful design in the cuff of the glove. This is a size 5.5 glove. According to the label, anyway, it was accompanied by Wear Right, wherever that came from, I'm not sure. However, all I can say is if I had been as small as this person was and had these gloves to wear, oh my, wouldn't have been a beautiful evening out for sure. My other very fine pieces of net lace are, my other very fine pieces of net lace are these signature blocks. These were very common during the 20s and 30s. This one is temperisa, which means temperance, which means, and if you'll see, the lady is drinking, so it meant temperance in the consumption of alcohol. It is bordered by a very nice piece of simple bobbin lace. My other piece that I have is prudence. And we all know what prudence means if you're a lady. You should be very, very good. Or so one would think. Or you could have a very fine piece of net lace like this one, which was the front of a bodice of a blouse. You see it has a snap on it, so it would have snapped into a spot on the bodice of the blouse, and then it would hang down and create this beautiful, lovely design. Definitely from the 30s. These next two pieces that you see in front of me are pieces that are made with hand-spun linen thread. When I found them in an antique store, they were grungy, gray, and dirty, and they didn't look anything like they do now. They took a lot of cleaning and a lot of blocking to get to find what the shapes were in them, and I was really quite amazed and quite pleased with how they came out. This is a small doily that could have been used with a little thing of small vase of flowers, or put a little lamp on top of it. This piece here could have been a placemat, and there could very well have been many more of them. I only found this one, but still it has a really interesting, intricate spider web type weave throughout the blocks. These next two pieces are cotton. And you can see the difference in the thread. This one is a grid that's a little bit smaller, and so your design is a little bit more defined. This one in here has more elements into it. You can see where they have used the little star or daisy pattern to give it a little bit of interest, and in the corners you see the little spider webs like in the previous piece. This last piece of darn netting tablecloth that I'm showing you is for a card table. It just barely fits the top of this large card table that I have, but on a smaller card table it would have been just perfect for the top, especially if it's a cloth like the green cloth that I have underneath it. As we go down and look at it closer, you can see all of the different stitches that they incorporated in it, like a daisy pattern in this block, and a different kind of daisy pattern in this block. And then you have those kind of open spiderwork things in the middle. I really love this piece, and if you go all the way out here onto the edge, you see they did some really tight weaving, so it makes it look like cloth, and it gives the edge a good strong base so that it will hold up together much better than it would otherwise. So I have a few other pieces, but the ones that I have shown you are the ones that I like the most and I use the most. And I hope you've enjoyed these beautiful videos on darned net. And so until next time, enjoy.